There's a particular kind of person who gets controlled not because they are weak, not because they are naive, but because they were trained, long before adulthood, to believe that being easy, quiet, and accommodating was the safest way to exist. Maybe that person is you. You learned early on that conflict was dangerous, that speaking up led to punishment, that needs were burdens, that the only way to stay emotionally safe was to read the room, predict emotional weather, and shrink to fit the space available. And this is the paradox at the heart of your story. The very skill that once protected you is now the thing that leaves you open to manipulation. The defense you mastered has become the doorway through which controllers walk in. It isn't that you attract the wrong people, it's that narcissists dominate, and emotional tacticians instinctively sense a specific energy. The energy of someone who was never allowed to inhabit the full size of their own humanity. They can feel the hesitation in your voice, the way you downplay your needs, the way you apologize before you even speak. They can sense a lifetime of making yourself small. Controlling people look for individuals who carry an old, unhealed wound, the belief that love must be earned through compliance. And if you grew up in chaos, in criticism, in conditional affection, you learned to shapeshift, to be calm, to be useful, to be the good one, not out of personality, but out of survival. This is the tragedy. You became masterful at avoiding harm, and that mastery became the blueprint through which others learned to harm you. You were taught to keep peace at all costs, but peacekeeping is just a beautiful word for some. The world does not control you because you are powerless. The world controls you because you were trained to believe your power was dangerous. And now, in adulthood, that training still whispers inside you, quiet, automatic, reflexive. Controllers don't overpower you. They simply step into the empty space where your self-protection never got the chance to grow. To understand why controlling people target you, we need to name the actual psychological machinery beneath the pattern. There are three major concepts at play here. 1. Fawn response beyond fight, flight, and freeze. There is another trauma response rarely discussed, fawning. This is the instinct to appease, soothe, or surrender your boundaries to avoid conflict or emotional danger. People who fawn don't consciously choose it. Their nervous system was wired to prioritize others' emotional states over their own safety. When someone criticizes you, when someone seems disappointed, when someone raises their voice, your body doesn't ask, "What do I need?" It asks, "How do I stop this?" Controllers exploit that instinct like a lever. All they need to do is show disapproval, tension, or withdrawal, and your nervous system rushes to fill the gap. 2. Hypervigilance. If you grew up monitoring moods to avoid being yelled at, ignored, or punished, your brain learned to scan for danger automatically. This created a neurological habit, constant, subconscious surveillance of others' emotions. Over time, this becomes a silent skill. You feel small changes in tone. You anticipate anger before it appears. You predict what others want before they even say it. Controllers love hypervigilant people. They get the illusion of obedience without ever having to ask for it. 3. Attachment imbalance. If affection was inconsistent in childhood, your attachment system may have developed around the idea that love must be pursued, earned, or maintained through effort. This becomes a psychological magnet for controlling personalities who thrive on being the center of attention and the arbiter of worth. You learned, "I must perform to be valued." Controllers reinforce, "You must perform to be loved." Two different eras, one identical wound. The emotional cost of being controlled is not just exhaustion, it's existential. It eats away at the soul in small, quiet increments. You lose yourself, not in a dramatic collapse, but in a series of tiny betrayals. The conversation where you didn't speak up the boundary. You didn't set the apology you didn't owe. The truth, you swallowed the discomfort you carried so someone else didn't have to. This is not passive behavior. This is active self-abandonment. Practiced so many times, it becomes second nature. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Not because self-acceptance is inherently frightening, but because many people have never lived a life where their true self was welcome. You learned early, to be fully myself is to risk losing love. So adulthood becomes a continuation of that ancient grief, the grief of never having been allowed to exist without consequences. Your fear isn't just fear of conflict, it's fear of exposure, fear of taking up space, fear of being seen, in case being seen leads to rejection, anger, or abandonment. And so you fold yourself into predictable shapes, compliant, agreeable, easy. But inside you, there is a constant hum of resentment and loneliness, not because others don't love you, but because they don't know you. Controllers thrive in the gap between who you are and who you show. And the tragedy is this: when you numb your voice to stay safe, you also numb the possibility of real connection. When you protect others' feelings more than your own truth, you stop being a person and become a cushion for someone else's comfort. It is a slow spiritual death, one boundary at a time. So how does this pattern show up today in your adult relationships? Let's make it painfully clear. You apologize automatically even when nothing is your fault. You feel guilty for having needs. You over-explain to avoid being misunderstood. You hesitate before speaking, always editing yourself. You walk on eggshells without realizing it. You confuse intensity with connection. Each of these is not a personality trait. They are coping strategies, outdated adaptations to a childhood environment that no longer exists. And here's the pivotal point. Controllers don't pick strong or weak people. They pick people who haven't been taught to protect themselves. Not because you're incapable, but because self-protection was never modeled for you. This is why the first step of unlearning is not be stronger, or set boundaries, or say no more often. Those are surface-level solutions. The real first step is witnessing the pattern without judgment. Healing from control is not about becoming louder, tougher, or more confrontational. It's about becoming whole. You heal by returning to the parts of you that were denied. Space. 1. Inner child reparenting. 2. Boundary reconstruction. 3. Nervous system regulations. Lowly. The fear loosens. Your voice strengthens. You inhabit yourself again. Kierkegaard once said, "To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself." You were controlled because you were taught to disconnect from yourself. But the moment you reconnect, the spell breaks. You are not here to be shaped by other people's demands. You are here to reclaim the shape that was always yours. If this message resonates, this is your turning point. Not because you've figured everything out, but because you're hearing your own truth more clearly than the controlling voices around you. You are not meant to be controlled. You are meant to be whole. Welcome back to yourself.